Here and Now, the program featuring the news and interests of the African American community. Here's your host, Sandra Bookman.
Coming up, paying homage to Shirley Chisholm, the new exhibit that explores her life and legacy. Also ahead, this year's Carefree Black Girl Cookout, designed to support female entrepreneurs. Grandpas United, how retired elders are making a difference in the lives of young people. Plus, comedian Jess shares her co-parenting journey in a hilarious new book, Till Death Do We Parent. And we sit down with Grammy-nominated singer and actress Deborah Cox to talk about her new Broadway musical, Titanic. That's all ahead on Here and Now. It is the toughest job in the world. I'm talking about parenting, and it becomes even more difficult when couples call it quits. A new book, Till Death Do We Parent, Raising My Kid with His Dad, takes a look at this lifelong journey through the lens of laughter. With us today, author, comedian, and co-host of the national morning show, The Breakfast Club, Jess. What a pleasure it is to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
And you don't look old enough to have a baby.
Oh, well, thank you. Tell me again. Thank you.
I'll say it again, but you know it's true. From the minute I started reading this book, I started laughing because I heard your voice immediately.
Yes.
What made you decide, with all the jobs you already have, what made you decide to write the book?
It's a bad stigma put on co-parenting. It's a bad stigma put on families, especially black families, that when we in the relationship, we can't come together and co-parent effectively. And I just think that's BS. We can do that. We ain't got to hate each other. We don't have to be putting the courts in our business all the time. Now, sometimes there's a need for that, but not all the time. It's not good to do it out of spite. And there are often a lot of times that moms and dads do that out of spite. And me and my son's father, we're like best friends. It wasn't always like that.
Yeah. You
know, after going to jail and just taking me down memory lane, you know, I look back and I say, wow, we had such a ride on this roller coaster, but we ended up on the right side of it.
Yeah.
And we became a team. We set our vows till death do we parent, and we're going to be that for that little boy.
And what do you think was the key for the two of you finally saying, and you were young,
yes,
so I will say that, youth and experience has a lot to do with it for everybody. How did you guys finally say, forget the craziness.
Yeah.
We got to get this kid raised and do it well, and it's going to take both of us to do it together?
Communication and putting our feelings aside. And although that's easier said than done, I actually did it. We did the work. We lived it. Jerome and I, that's my son's father's name. I had to understand him coming from so much trauma. I had to realize how he thought as a person. Like, let me get into your mind. How do you think? Why can't you be alone? Why must you be a womanizer? Why do you manipulate? What are you trying to find? Why is there a void? That it was like he could have, he was, even when he was in a relationship with me, those times where we weren't around each other, he just could not be alone. And I realized him losing his mom at 10, and he was the one to also find her deceased. That was heavy for him. And once I changed my mindset from, okay, I'm gonna be with this guy no matter what, to no, we're not gonna be together, but we still have a kid. So we gotta show up for him, communicate, so we can be friends first. And
was it difficult getting him on the same page with that, or did he need to work through some things before he felt emotionally ready to, do it that way?
Honestly, I was ready. I was ready, way readier than him, way before he was, but Rome was easy when we started having the uncomfortable conversations, and that's what a lot of moms and dads, a lot of people, period, don't like. They run from, confrontation and uncomfortable conversations. And although it was complicated to talk about certain things, we did that. I provided a safe space for him so he can let me in and be vulnerable with me, to tell me why he act the way he act in relationships. And that's how we were able to become friends. I became like a therapeutic friend for him. Yeah.
And his baby's mama.
And his baby mama.
and his baby's mama. Now, you got arrested for
I did. I bust out his windows. He said his stepmother called the police, but he called the police, Sandra. He is lying. He called the police. Still to this day, he act like he didn't, and he did.
And I will add that you were 19 when you became pregnant.
Yes.
So we were kind of, yes, technically you thought you were grown, but we were talking about babies trying to raise a baby.
That's exactly.
And so there was a lot of silliness going on.
Yes, it was.
But it just sounds like you kind of snapped to really quick in terms of what's most important for me. I don't have to be right. I need to be right about how I raise my kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That came from being raised from both of my parents. By my mom, who was born and raised in the church. So was I. My dad, he's a former Marine. They both worked very hard and taught me and my siblings morals, values. We had a core foundation. It was a lot of structure implemented in my household. Rome, on the other hand, didn't have so much of that, you know. So I was able to see him and have grace for him, you know.
And he was really lucky to meet somebody like you that was with that sort of solid emotional support system and the maturity, really, to actually see him for what he was and to understand that he just needed that extra support. I want to ask you about what advice you'd give folks, but I got to say, and I got to tell any reader, you pick this up, you will see and hear yourself in this book, you will laugh.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it sounds like you, right?
Yes.
It's good. It's good advice. It's honest advice. How did he feel about you laying bare so much in this book?
Well, he actually helped me write it because I wrote it when I was pregnant, so I had a lot of pregnancy brain fog.
With your second child,
yes,
I might add.
I was pregnant with my daughter Marley. She's 1 now, but I wrote this book and it took me 9 months. Isn't that ironic? When I first found out I was pregnant, I started writing it, and then I finished 2 weeks before I went into labor with my daughter. And when I called Rome, I was like, look, I'm about to write a book because it's too much negative connotation put on co-parenting and relationships, and I want to tell our story about how we became best friends today. And he was like, all right, well, look, I'm going to tell my story. I was like, yo, chill. I'm not Drake, you're not Kendrick. This is not a battle. Relax. I want you to help me write it, you know? And so I said, oh, okay, cool. But after writing it, after he helped me, he said to me, yo, I'm so sorry. Now that I look back as an adult, I look back on how I did you and how I was moving, and I didn't realize that I was so effed up. I didn't realize I didn't know how to navigate the loss of my mom and coping with my feelings, and I'm sorry that I turned down therapy so many times. I just didn't know what it was back then.
Yeah.
But I'm glad there's a lane for it now, and he's actually in therapy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a man.
Yeah.
Rome. As
Rome.
you call him.
Jerome.
And I feel like I know everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you tell folks that are starting this journey? They're scared,
Yeah.
but they know they got to move on, but they don't know how to do it.
Yeah, accept it and let it go. I had to change my mindset like I spoke about earlier. I had my mindset going in because of what I saw in my family. I saw my mom to a successful marriage, you know, 2 parents raising children in the household. That's what I wanted. And when I met Rome and I got pregnant, that's what I thought my life was going to be. I just thought I had it all written out, you know, but I had to accept that we weren't going to be together. We weren't just because we weren't a good fit for a relationship intimately, right? Didn't mean that we couldn't come together and still raise our kid as friends. Yeah. Now best friends, but friends first. You know, communication, honesty, but you got to accept that it's going to be maybe not what you want it to be, but it can still be something beautiful, and let that go. And stop sleeping with him, y'all. Just stop sleeping with the baby daddy, and the baby daddy stop sleeping with the baby mama. Y'all, this is false hope, especially if y'all really aren't doing the work to be together.
Yeah, you got to focus your mind on the business at hand, and the business at hand is raising that child well.
The child, and that's where I got till death do we parent, because it's a life sentence.
Now your son.
Yes,
Ashton. What does he think about the book? He's 14 now.
Yes, he is. Oh my God. So I was extremely nervous.
Because you got all his business in the book.
I know.
Too.
I was extremely nervous about him reading it. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, and it's a part where I talk about being afraid to be a mom and not really accepting that I was a mom until he was 6 years old. I mean, 6 years old. So he was 6 months old. I did not realize that was a hard pill to swallow. I didn't know that I was going to put that in the book, but I did, because so many other women wrestle with that. And I was scared for him to read that part, but I talked to him about it, and he was like, no, it's okay. you were young, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, you're such an understanding 14-year-old.
He sounds like such a smart kid.
Oh, he is.
That was my impression of him. And he watches the two of you.
Yes, he does. Honey, yes, he does. And even sometimes I remember asking him coming up like, you want your mom and your dad to be together? And he was like, no. No.
He wants you both to be happy.
Yes, and that's what it was. He just wants us to, he's always wanted us to be happy.
Yeah.
And to get along and have a good relationship, and we do. And because of that, he's the product.
Yeah.
Great kid.
I think the book is wonderful. Till Death Do We Parent. Jess, hilarious. It is hilarious, but it is also full of nuggets of hard-earned wisdom.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did a great job. I hope it's not the last book you write. You
No,
you got some skills.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for noticing that.
No, you definitely do. Besides just being funny as heck.
Yeah,
You've got some skills. I'm going to send folks to JessHilariousOfficial.com. That's her website, and that social media tag at JessHilariousOfficial. And the book, wherever books are sold.
Wherever books are sold, yes.
All right. You can come back anytime.
Oh, now, for real. Now, y'all heard her say this.
Yes.
For real. All right, because I'll be back.
Hey, we're here every Sunday.
Thank you so
come on
much.
back. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We'll be right back. Research shows that spending time with grandparents is beneficial to children and young adults, but not everybody gets the chance to know their grandparents or even reap the benefits of a supportive adult role model. That's where Grandpas United comes in. It's a group of volunteers from all walks of life dedicated to connecting with and mentoring young people. Joining us today are the co-founders of Grandpas United, Frank Williams Jr. and Dr. Jim Eisenberg. So nice to meet you two.
Glad to be here. I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
I think this is just really, the entire idea behind this is just absolutely wonderful. Essentially a grandpa for anybody that feels like they need one. Where did the idea come from? How did you guys decide, there was a need for this kind of group?
Well, Jim and I have known each other for close to 40 years. We're from White Plains, New York, and I'm director of the City of White Plains Youth Bureau, and Jim has been involved with a lot of police work and youth justice work and community involvement. So, and in fact, we're former racquetball players. So we maintain our relationships with school and community issues, and Jim was a grandpa, and you talk a little bit about that, and I became a grandpa, and it took off.
So in 2018, I was a grandpa, and Frank became a grandpa. And I looked around on Google to see if there was anything going on with grandpas. And all I could find, God loved grandmas and grandparents, but nothing for grandpas. And I called Frank, I said, we're involved with all kinds of things with youth. Why don't we think about doing something with grandpas? And we talked to a guy we knew at the local newspaper who was a reporter, and he did a front page story about the idea of grandpas. We had some other grandpas. And the headline was, Gramps, not Grumps.
Okay.
And I hadn't thought of a grumpy. I mean, maybe if you don't get a nap, but we began Grandpas United and linked with the White Plains Youth Bureau with tremendous support from political leaders and others we knew, and Frank was involved with a lot of young people, and here we go.
So you both, the experience of becoming grandpas yourself really made you think more deeply about the role that you could play in young people's lives.
Well, I think for us, and especially for my work, just knowing that so many young people are growing up in homes without a father or grandfather or male figure, and when Jim and I got together and became grandparents, we did some research, and we found that there were hardly any programs in the country that spoke to grandparents being involved, grandfathers being involved with boys and young people, and so that kind of launched this whole initiative that we have in place.
And was it difficult, I guess, first of all, you sort of have the kids almost baked in because you're involved in this youth program. Was it difficult getting people to sign up for the idea to sort of understand what it is exactly that you wanted to do with the program?
I think it was that newspaper article, don't you think, Jim?
That got people first
Yeah.
thinking.
Motivated people, and then I think the others is we began to build a group that we knew of grandpas, a diverse group of grandpas, and they were interested to begin with what could they maybe do with young guys in elementary school that had no father or grandfather in their lives. And Frank, we began to open the door with the schools. The school superintendent said, let's see what we might do. And I think that was the beginning. And I think grandpas were interested also in what they might do in talking with kids about being apprentice or ideas.
And I also want to say that it's also was not just about the young people, it's also about grandfathers, right? Having a place to go, people to be involved with, bringing grandfathers out of spaces of isolation and alienation. And people worked 25, 30, 35 years, and what do you do with the next part of your life? And we gave them something to be involved with, something to give back.
And how many grandfathers are involved with your program right now?
So right now we have about 75 in White Plains, and we have programs in Mount Vernon and New Rochelle and Ossining and in Portchester, but we've spoken all over New York State about starting this program. And we've gotten calls from all over the country, from here to California, about starting Grandpas United.
Because the need is the same everywhere.
Exactly.
So I know we're making it sound really simple, and to a certain extent it is, but you have got a long list of programs that help serve your constituency here. Talk to me a little bit about some of those programs.
Tell them about Jumpstart for Dads.
You mentioned before the mentoring in schools, and I guess you do it in community centers, but you've got divergence, where you justice diversion programs.
We do.
So talk to me a little bit about
So at the
some
White
of
Plains Youth Bureau, thanks to the mayor and our city leadership, we provide probably about 60 programs, before school programs, after school programs, mentoring programs, SAT prep programs, employment programs, youth leadership programs, an aviation program. We have a ton of programs. And we have something, art, music, theater, dance, all of that. And then Jim noted that out of Grandpas United, we created another program. It's called Jumpstart for Dads. And we did that because so many fathers don't have the ability to speak to what do I do with my own struggles in life when I'm going through issues of my own challenges, right? And because of that, Dr. Vito, who's helped to start this program, brought this to the Youth Bureau and to Grandpas United, and now it's a program where fathers come together weekly to talk about how to become a better father, a husband, partner, a better person, right? And we've had, close to 40 graduates, Jim?
40 fathers who've graduated.
In 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I mean, I think 40
Definitely.
years down the road, they'll be sitting where the two of you are, making a difference in some other young
Absolutely.
person's
So,
life.
so in terms of solutions, we look at divorce and separation, and we hear these issues, fathers leaving their families, and we wanted to do something about it. And that's what Jumpstart for Dads came about. Having men be in the spaces where they're talking with each other around marital issues, about child development and raising their sons and daughters, and about money management. And so that's what it does.
Now, can I ask you, since you guys became grandpas and started thinking about the roles of grandpas, did you both have very involved grandfathers in your own lives?
I sadly didn't. And I always felt sad that my own father died young, that he couldn't have been a grandpa. So in many ways, I'm winging it. But
Well, you're doing a pretty good job.
I've learned a lots about what it means to be a grandpa, and really appreciate the role in both my kids and my grandkids' lives, and of course what we're doing with Grandpas United.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a wonderful grandfather. His name was Roosevelt Williams. He was a farmer. He started out, I'm from Mississippi, so he started out as a sharecropper, and from being a sharecropper, he bought 300 acres of land, and he farmed from cotton, you name it, he did it. But he was a role model, the hardest working man I know, from sun up to sundown. And he was a blessing to our family and to our community. So I guess that's where I get my hard work from, listening to his stories and watching him work hard just to grow crops and give back to his family.
And it sounds like both of you are trying to be a blessing in the lives of a lot of young people's lives. And your focus is a lot on young men, correct?
Our focus is on the community.
Okay.
What we're doing is really trying to improve our community, bringing fathers and community members together, helping young people to grow to become productive members of the community, and helping grandfathers who retire knowing that they have something to give back to the community. Jim, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think the other recognizing, in addition to what's happening with young men and happening in terms of our mentoring, we're also very attuned to what's happening to grandpas.
Yeah.
So we have some programs for grandpas, because I think people are now writing and talking more about loneliness for older people and the need to be engaged. And Frank, fortunately, he's still working. I'm retired. There are some things I miss about working. And so we have a program with grandpas for memoir writing, where grandpas, I'm a Californian originally, got some guys who grew up in the Bronx and Queens, and their stories about being kids there,
They're different from
growing
yours.
up are great. So those kind of sharing memories are great, and we just started a program called the Lunch Bunch, which has like 20, 25 grandpas just bringing their lunch together and talking about. I told Frank, one of the three of the grandpas, the opening question was, it's graduation time, right? Did you go to graduation, and did you go to the prom? And three guys said, I went out with this girl, and we've been married for 50 years now. So a lot of sweet stories from the grandpas.
It sounds like Grandpas United is in a lot of ways a full service organization. You're not only doing wonderful things for the young people that you're involved in, but you're also getting these grandpas to share their knowledge, all that, that 65, 70 years of working hard and loving your family teaches you.
People are living longer. So you retire at 65 or 62. What do you do? You might live to be 90. What do you do with the rest of your life? And I think that for Grandpas United, for the city of White Plains, Westchester County, it's changing the narrative of men and fathers and grandfathers about life and about the quality of life and about mentoring and intergenerational activities for kids and for the community. So it's a whole different perspective that we have not had before.
I think it's absolutely wonderful. Your website, grandpasunited.org.
That's right.
You can find out more information about the work you do, the wonderful programs you have. And for some reason, I think the next time I talk to you, that long list of programs is going to be even longer.
You're probably right.
Yeah, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank you both for sitting down with us this
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Grandpas United. You need to take a look at the important work that they're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. She is a Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, and actress. Deborah Cox, starring in the comedic musical Titanic as unsinkable Molly Brown, a flamboyant version of the real-life Titanic survivor. It is our pleasure to welcome powerhouse vocalist and Broadway star, Deborah Cox. So nice to finally meet you.
Yes, likewise.
You
Thank
walked
you for
up
having
in
me.
here looking like the star you are, putting
Thank
all of
you.
us to shame. You've been at this for a while. You were a
Yes.
baby when you started.
Yes,
And so
yes.
was Broadway part of that dream?
Broadway was always a part of the vision, absolutely. I kind of came up doing musicals, doing stuff through high school, doing off-Broadway type productions in Toronto where I grew up. And it was something that I knew I'd want to like venture into again, but the recording career took off.
Yeah.
And so it gave me different playgrounds to play in.
I love you play. Oh, the recording career took off. Okay, let's just see where it took off. 13 #1 hits on Billboard's Hot Dance Club Play chart, 6 top 20 Billboard R&B singles, and you were, of course, a backup singer for Celine Dion in the early 90s when you were a child, and before they realized, oh my Lord, this child can sing. You happy with the career that you've been able to build in an industry that is notoriously fickle?
Ooh, yes, yes. I'm happy that I stuck to what was in my heart and what was in my spirit. I knew that I wanted to have a career in music. I knew that I wanted to be a part of the performing arts in some capacity. And in a way, because of sticking to my guns and sticking to my vision and my truth, I've been able to have many hats, and I've been able to participate in all different types of musical productions.
Yeah,
So,
that's hard work.
Very hard
and
work.
talent. Well, but those two things can give you that
Absolutely.
longevity, which is what you've had.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
Titanic, you're a co-producer
I am.
as well, right?
Yes.
So does that add to the work that you're doing in addition to what you do on stage?
Yeah, well, you know, when I came into the industry, I came in as an artist, as a performer. I really took a leap when I was a co-producer on The Wiz, co-producer on this. It made me a part of the production in a different way, helping to bring the dream to Broadway. And that was what I felt, you know, was important this time around, was not just investing my talent and time, it was really investing in the dream and seeing the work of these incredible writers and performers. Again, speaking about Marla Mandel and Constantine Rassouli and Ty Blue, when they approached me about being in this production, I really believed in it. And so my vision moving forward has been to be a part of things that I really, truly believe in.
To be from it helps to be sort of in the soul of it, not just on the surface work.
Absolutely. I love that you said that, because my soul is in this art as well, in this exploring this comedic role, letting people see the comedy, the fun side of me instead of always being so serious. This piece has really allowed me to do that and explore in a different way.
Titanic,
Yes.
which I had to ask you when we first sat down. Am I saying it right?
You are.
So describe for our viewers what it is, because it is the Titanic story, but from a completely unexpected source.
Yes, it's a parody of the movie, and it's told through the lens of a Celine Dion, played by Marla Mandel, and it's a hilarious take on her thinking that she was on the Titanic. And so when you see all of these characters tell the story through her eyes, it's just hysterical, and it's so funny, and it also has a backdrop of the music of Celine Dion.
You
so
got
it's
beautiful music.
Yeah, it's a really fun production to be a part of with the most incredible cast. And I'm having the time of my life on Broadway again.
And unsinkable Molly Brown. I
Yes.
mean, when I've seen, past movies of that talked about the night the Titanic sank, not just the big Titanic one, but even, the movies that were made before, that character always stuck out to me because I always felt like she had guts and gumption, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
she absolutely did. In a time where women, they never listened to women. She didn't really have a voice. But she was very determined to save more people and not just the rich folk. She really wanted to be the voice for the voiceless, and she stood on that all the way up until her passing.
You love that character. This rendition speaks to you.
This rendition really speaks to me. The heart and soul of who she is, a fighter, being so determined, being that. She really kind of takes Rose under her wings and teaches her about, just following her heart, and there's a lot of me in that as well.
So do you have a favorite scene? Is there something that you just love?
Oh, there's so many favorite scenes. And a lot of the scenes I'm not in just because the show is so hysterical. I love the improv moments. I love, for me, the moment with Melissa when we do our duet, and I'm sort of, exploring her. Telling her about the birds and the bees, give you a little sex education,
A little sex
if you will.
Okay.
You know,
can,
through
it's
song.
okay to say sex
I know,
education.
Right? But that's one of my scenes that I feel is like endearing and fun and quirky all at the same time.
Okay. And I know that the production has been extended, right?
Yes.
That's a great sign.
That is a great sign. We've had a lot of support. Not through just the previews, but like up until now, and now we are extended through September.
Yeah, that has to be a great feeling.
It is. You know, Broadway's not easy.
Nope.
So being able to bring new people and new fans and new supporters to the St. James is really incredible.
Yeah, it means people are liking what they see.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Deborah Cox a little bit because you've got a pretty big performance coming up tonight on the Tonys.
I'm my first time performing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And we're nominated for Best Musical. And taking part in the telecast, so really thrilled about that.
Yeah, that's great. And the first two Radio City Music Hall, you've not performed. That's the one stage
The
that you haven't
one
performed
stage that
on.
I've never done a performance there, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's such a iconic venue.
Yeah, it is. You're going to be fantastic. You're going to kill it.
Thank you.
And you're going to headline Beatstock this summer in Brooklyn. That's August 15th and 16th.
It's August 15th, 16th. Beatstock, it's a celebration of dance music. So when you come, expect to hear all the dance hits.
And don't wear your heels.
Don't wear your heels, child. Wear some comfortable boots, some summer boots, or some
also,
running
it's going to
shoes or
be the
something.
middle of August, for
Yes,
sure.
it's going to be hot.
You are also going to be performing in your hometown, the FIFA Fan Festival, July 2nd.
July 2nd,
Yeah.
for FIFA. That's actually a free concert. So it's, really a celebration of all things FIFA. And I'm thrilled to be performing as well.
You got, honestly, I'm a little
Pretty
jealous
busy.
of your summer. Yeah, but it's what you love to do, right?
Yes,
You absolutely love it. I can't let you go without, because first of all, you got more jobs. you got a lot of
I have
jobs.
an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes, you do. And I want to talk about your wine, and I want you to pronounce it because I don't want your kids being angry with me because I mispronounced their wine.
Sure, it's called Kazaisu. We also sell it exclusively at the St. James Theater as well. There's a rosé that we first came out with. We also have the white and the red. And it's an organic brand, a brand that, we feel is the healthier alternative. And I named it after our children because it's a real personal thing for me. I love, love, love wine. It's from Provence as well, which is where I got my early start singing background for Céline as well. And it really explores a luxurious taste when you taste it, but it's also clean. It has no additives, no color.
Organic.
It's just like pure, and that's my choice of drink when I.
And it's named after
all of my kids,
all of your kids.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't
Kayla,
want to.
Isaiah, and Sumaya.
Okay.
And we combined the three names, and it's Kazaisu.
And are they old enough to taste it?
Yeah, they are
Okay.
now. I'm an empty nester, so they're all now off in university. But yeah, it was just a pure a desire to come up with something that was of quality that people could enjoy, and I wanted to create a legacy brand.
Like the rest of your career, you said, I'm going to do this, and you did it.
Thank you. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
TitanicBroadway.com, TitanicBroadway.com. That's where you can get tickets right now. The show has been extended through September 20th.
September 20th.
Right?
Yes.
And then I'm going to send folks to DeborahCox.com, and there I'm assuming they can see everything that you're going to be doing.
All of the dates of the shows that I'm doing. You can order the wine there as well. Yeah, all things Deborah at DeborahCox.com.
It is a pleasure to sit down with you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Oh my God, you're so glamorous and talented and hardworking. Perfect combination.
Thank you.
So nice to meet you, and you can come back anytime.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Hashtag Carefree Black Girl. It's a social media platform and digital cultural movement. And the online network presents solutions for Black female entrepreneurs facing some unique challenges. What started as a small picnic in Brooklyn about a decade ago has grown into a national tour known as the Carefree Black Girl Cookout. Here to tell us more is founder Quanah Bolden. So nice to meet you. You're like the Energizer Bunny.
Well, yes, it's great to be here. I'm happy you all have me in today.
Yeah, you've done a fantastic job. So what was the inspiration behind even starting up, hashtag Carefree Black Girl?
Oh, cool. So I'll make it a little short, long story. So when I was an undergrad at Clark Atlanta University, I knew I was going to move to New York and pursue music. And I was on, what is it called, Tumblr one day, and I was just scrolling and I saw a Carefree white girl page, and I was like, wow, like, I love the fact that they're always, inspired, but I wonder if we had something like this. So I started just basically using the hashtag and creating you would say like a mood board on Tumblr. And unbeknownst to me, a lot of other people started attaching on to it. I probably closed my Tumblr for 2 months, and then it started to go viral. I moved to New York in 2012, and this is about a year after I had been using the hashtag. It started to go beyond what I had thought. I was doing events, different things like Stop the Violence events and things like that. And then a friend of mine told me, she was like, you always call yourself the Carefree Black Girl, Quanah. Why don't you take it all under one umbrella and create something? So in short, because I was an artist on my journey, a Black woman coming to New York, trying to start my business, trying to find community, instead of just having it as an expression to define me, I decided to create a thing. And our first event was the Carefree Black Girl Picnic in Brooklyn with about 10 people 1 year. The next year we made a flyer, and that flyer went viral, and we went from 10 people 1 year to the next year about 150 people.
Okay.
And
It's gotten bigger
It took a life of its own, and about 2 years in, some friends in Philadelphia at Rec Creative, they was like, hey, can you bring this to Philly? So we branched out to Philly, and then it just started to grow and grow and grow from there.
And so explain to everybody what the organization does, who it supports.
Yes, for sure. So Carefree Black Girl, what started out as a brand that solely supports Black women and tries to create spaces for them to find solutions for problems, has grown to a brand that represents Black femmes across the spectrum, right? So we've learned in this past decade that Black femininity is not a monolith. We have non-binary folk, we have trans folk, we have intersex folk. So in order for me to really serve the community, I had to open it up. So Carefree Black Girl is a lifestyle brand that provides spaces for Black femmes, whether that's through entrepreneurship, tech, sports, community. The Brooklyn Cookout will have a big emphasis this year on prevention. So we do a good bit.
On prevention or what?
So whether that's,
sorry.
So prevention meaning healthcare. So whether STIs, STDs, and things of that nature. So we're going to be, for the Brooklyn Cookout, we have created a cool thing called the Scavenger Hunt in conjunction with Spark United. And it's basically going to just promote wellness and provide information on things like PrEP that can prevent, again, STIs and STDs, things that are actually affecting Black women that many of us may not know or not, but a lot of these things are affecting us. So the Carefree Black Girl Cookout this year, we're just going to take a step further to just either, one, provide information, and two, provide support for people who may need it. In just a fun way. It's not going to be hitting you over the head, but very,
you've
very
got
fun.
this community, and you want to share this important information that happens to be about your health.
Yeah, so anything that affects Black femmes, Carefree Black Girl, essentially we pull up.
Now, I know economic empowerment and entrepreneurship is one of your main focuses. Why is that so important?
Well, so the biggest thing is, and you may understand this, sometimes it's hard for us to find our own communities and find our customer base. So with the Carefree Black Girl, it's important for me to have a focus on entrepreneurship and giving creatives alike and business owners the autonomy to share their work with their communities. It's important because oftentimes we don't know where each other lie. So a place like Brooklyn, it may be more accessible, right? But then you go to a place like Milwaukee and it's not as accessible. So the Carefree Black Girl Cookout serves as a one-stop shop for you to find everything. We typically don't take a lot of outside vendors or if you're not from the 5 boroughs, most likely I'll say, hey, wait till we go to somewhere closer to you because it's easier for the people in the community to find you. For example, we've been working with OMG Nails for about 5 years, and she does free nail polishes at the cookout. You know, she was starting out before when she first started doing the cookout, but now she mostly does nails full time. And she'll come to your house.
Yeah.
She does kids, adults alike. She'll even service disabled people. So somebody like her, she's been able to grow and scale her business through the Carefree Black Girl Cookout. You know, it's a day where you get 500-600 customers that may be able to see you. You know, some people leave the cookout making thousands of dollars. Some people leave the cookout making 500. But the thing that stays consistent is community.
Yeah.
Almost everyone who does the cookout is saying, hey, I found my next opportunity. Or I found, like, people have found love. People have gone to be on TV shows.
So you're a full service.
So, you know, full service thing. Maybe that'll be the next era.
Yeah. No. Yeah, some things I'll leave to you.
Right, no, I mean.
How satisfying is it for you to have had this idea, looking at a page, something came to you, and then a decade later, you've helped all of these other people realize some of their dreams, and it just keeps giving and giving. How satisfying is that for you?
I would say today I really cried because I didn't think that it would grow to this. Like, even last year was just such a rough year for me because the world has changed, you know? Yeah. Whereas Carefree Black Girl was welcoming to some spaces, last year we became like a nuance. So to see my community pull through for me last year, and so many vendors and business owners email me and say, hey, please, whatever you can do, don't stop. Yeah. To be able to come here today, I thought about that. The fact that at the end of last year, how I was saying, hey, y'all, I don't know if we're going to be able to continue next year, to everybody saying, no, put up the vendor slots early. We'll sign up. We'll give you what you need. It's very rewarding because it can be a thankless job. And I realized that somebody has to do it. And for me to be able to do it and to last 10 years and have a community that pours back into me the way I pour into them, I just said this one, a 10-year-old me is screaming right now because it's beyond my wildest dreams. Like, we started in Brooklyn with 10 people and now we're doing 12 cities across the country. Like, I don't even know what to say about that sometimes.
I think it's a lot of hard work and a focus on what it is you're trying to accomplish. The cookout here, June 13th, 1 to 7 p.m., Lincoln Terrace Park in Brooklyn. I'm going to send folks to carefreeblackgirl.com. It's on the screen there, blackgirl.com, and notice girl has no I in it, carefreeblackgirl.com. Cannot wait to see what you do next, Quanah, because I got a feeling it's going to be twice as big as this.
Oh, thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, too.
And best of luck to you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back. A new exhibit pays homage to the first Black woman elected to Congress. The Shirley Chisholm Way, Brooklyn's Blueprint for Change, explores how this groundbreaking political figure overcame racial and gender barriers. It's presented by Prospect Park Alliance and the Shirley Chisholm Cultural Institute. Joining us today is the president of the Shirley Chisholm Cultural Institute, Barbara Bullard. So nice to meet you.
It's my pleasure being here.
You have been head of the Shirley Chisholm Institute for quite some time. Yeah.
Yes, since 2018. And I back up a little bit. Shirley's legacy has been a part of my life for over 20 plus years.
And so explain that to me.
Yes. So as a cultural producer, I met William R. Howard, who was Chisholm's legislative aide, confidant, finance chair through an art project I was working on, which became a part of the permanent installation in Brooklyn Borough Hall of Shirley. And when I met Bill and I realized this one man was out there on the pavement pushing Shirley's legacy, going in schools, on the street, and there was no way that I could just sit on the sidelines. I had to join him and make sure that Chisholm's legacy stays alive.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that would say that legacy is even more important to remind people of these days. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I feel like the clock has been turned back 50 plus years, and Shirley's legacy is more important now, more relevant now than ever. And one of the things I like to say, and I like to ask people when I'm walking into spaces, is ask yourself, what would Shirley do when you're in those moments?
Yeah, she stepped up.
Stepped
one
up
of the
big
things
time.
she did. She definitely did at a time when I think she was underestimated for various reasons, color, sex, and she basically said, nope, not going to stand in my way.
Unbought and unbossed.
Yep, unbought and unbossed. So talk to me about this particular exhibit. Obviously, we've seen exhibits about her, focused on her legacy before. The Shirley Chisholm Way, Brooklyn's Blueprint for Change. What is it that you're hoping this particular exhibition will do for audiences?
Well, it's an activation. I look at that space as being a portal to her legacy. And there's 7 points that I try to bring forward for the public to experience, from some of the inspirations that she received from growing up in Barbados with her grandmother, to being in spaces where she was the only Black woman handling America's business. How does she do that? So it's like 7 key areas throughout her life. It's moving away from birth to death, but more talking about specific issues that she actually pierced through, so that she can show us as an example of how it is to be a catalyst for change.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, because point out to me some of those, 1 or 2 of those specific areas that you feel like it was important to include in this exhibition and call out so people pay attention.
Well, there's an image in there of Shirley talking to a young man in Brooklyn, and she's just showing her campaign slogan, her campaign, paraphernalia, documentation, and the little boy is just looking at it with such piercing eyes. And I thought that was super important, because our young people must continually be engaged. We must, bring them forth into these spaces to talk about Shirley and icons like Shirley that have, really made it through. I love that image because it's Shirley, just the teacher in her. Sort of kind of emanates out of the image.
Yeah.
And she's talking to this young person. And one of the other images I want to just talk about is a young image of Shirley. Just when she was in school, that was provided by her estate to this exhibition. They're very supportive of the projects that we do, and this image is like her as a young woman, before
she was the Shirley Chisholm.
Before the Shirley Chisholm, right? Just standing there eloquently in just this beautiful dress. But you could see that she had already been prepared for the future by her just standing there.
Yeah, but also, and since I think also seeing that photo reminds all of us that could be one of us. That we're not all that different, but you got to have focus and be about something. And of course, this is a woman who in 1972 became the first woman to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. I'm sure that's a big part of this exhibition.
With delegates, to talk about her when she would be in front of a mic, and there would be the news there. She would show up, and sometimes they would turn the mic off intentionally while she's speaking. But that didn't stop her.
Nope.
If you notice, her voice and the way she eloquently speaks is very piercing. So she didn't need a mic. She continued. And those are, some of the points that we're trying to make with the community at a whole, to ask them, again, what would Shirley do? But also to ask them, what will you do?
Even as you ask me that, when you talk about Shirley Chisholm, it is with such reverence. For you, who is she for you?
She's a power woman. She is a superhero, but we all are. She's the mirror image of a superhero. So when I'm looking at her, I'm looking at myself, trying to understand, how can I affect change? How can I be present in what's happening in the world?
Okay. The exhibition, The Shirley Chisholm Way. It's at Lefferts Historic House, and it runs from now until November 15th. Yeah. And if you want to find out more about the exhibition, as well as the important work that you do, shirleychisholminstitute.org, prospectpark.org, because the two parties are putting on this exhibition together. Thank you so much for sitting down with us this afternoon. Every time, anytime we get a chance to talk about Shirley Chisholm, we are in.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Thank you on behalf of Prospect Park Lefferts and Morgan Monaco, the president. So thank you so much.
Our sincere acceptance of your thanks, although you don't owe us one. And you can come back anytime.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us on Here and Now. If you missed any portion of today's show, you can watch at abc7ny.com/hereandnow or listen to our podcast wherever you subscribe. If you'd like to comment or share your story, email us at hereandnow@wabc.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sandra Bookman. Enjoy the rest of your day.